Now, mate, I've got to say congratulations on this album. I've had a chance to sit down and have a listen to it, and it's an absolutely amazing album. So, congratulations.
Well, thank you so much. That means a lot.
So, tell us a little bit about this album. What was it that you went into this album wanting to achieve? Because you've overcome so much stuff with Northtale over the last few years. What did you want to achieve with this album?
So it's hard to say that, but I wanted to achieve what we did achieve. I have to say that it means a lot when you say that the album is great because I did the album that I wanted to do. Like I feel that I don't know if it's the best thing ever, but it's definitely the best thing that I can do, and it's definitely what I wanted to do. I'm not, like with the first album, I was pretty unhappy with a few things, not a lot, but overall I was happy with the album, very happy. With this, there's nothing I would change. You know what I mean? Like everything is just the way I wanted. And what I wanted to achieve was kind of like this kind of sound that was reminiscent of the power metal that we had on the first album. It's still very melodic, still very happy sounding, and all that. But that also went into other directions because as a heavy metal fan, I like all kinds of different stuff. I like Halloween, I like Stratovarius, but I also like Slayer, like Morbid Angel, and I also like Brazilian music. I wanted to bring some of that into the album too. So all of that was achieved in my opinion. I'm very happy with the result.
I wanted to talk to you about that because that was one of the things I loved about this album was that it went back to your Brazilian roots. Tell us a little bit about what that was like to bring Brazilian music into the sound of the band.
Yeah, so uh, that's not really like a new idea, so to speak, but it's new to me. That is definitely the first time that I'm doing something like that. And when I started writing for the album, I was trying to come up with different things, and I really felt that there's a lot of because a lot of power metal can sound formulaic and generic, and we got that a lot from our first album, and that was kind of by design. I kind of wanted to sound like certain bands, but with this album, I wanted to explore the Brazilian music because that is my true roots. Like I I spent a lot of I put a lot of effort into becoming American when I moved to America. I wanted to lose my accent. I never did, but I worked on it, and I wanted to sort of whitewash myself, so to speak, when I came here, and I realized that that's kind of what would set me apart and made me a little different than other musicians was bringing in some of the Brazilian influence back, and then getting a new singer from Brazil, that only made sense. What I already had the Land of Mystic Rights, which is the song that features the most of that. I already had the song before I had the singer, but when he came in and did his part, that really came to life. That's when I was sure that that song was gonna be on the record. Because until then, it was just an idea.
Is it true as
So
well? Is it true that the singer that you've ended up going with contacted you through Facebook? Is that correct?
yes, not only that, not only did he contact me through Facebook, he also was the very last one. You know, I had already, by the time he talked to me, I already had the producer. I already had the half of the songs or something. I had like 6 or 7 songs, or maybe not half, maybe a third of the songs. And I was kind of like, and I had already started to hire the singer from Europe. Like someone that's actually more famous than the band. But when he wrote me on Facebook, at first I started ignoring him, and I didn't ignore him to be mean or anything. I just wasn't thinking about that anymore. I'm like, okay, I got a singer, but at the same time, I wanted, like I said before, I was already starting to explore the Brazilian side of things on my music, and the singers I was talking to, they were all European. They didn't have the background. They had no idea what the traditional Brazilian music was like. When this guy shows up and starts sending me demos, like at first I didn't even respond, and then I responded and I said something like, "Thanks, but no thanks." And he's like, "Hey man, even if there's a 0.01 chance of making it, I want to try." And I'm like, "All right, man, I like your perseverance. You know what? Send me some stuff." And I gave him some instrumental songs, and he blew my mind when he sent it back, man. I heard the first two phrases, and I'm like, okay, that's the guy. Now what the fuck do I do with the guy that I'm already hiring? You know, it was a lot like that, man.
Yeah.
And we had to go back, and I had to go back and tell the singer that we had someone else. And it's not because he wasn't good, but it's almost because this new guy understood where I was going a lot better. You know, for being Brazilian, for being from there.
Definitely.
So yeah, absolutely. Facebook message that did it all.
So you said that he blew you away with his vocals. What was it about his vocals that blew you away? Was it because he was singing in the style that you were looking for, or was it something else about his vocals that really blew you away?
So I when I write the music, when I write any music for Northtale, I sing on the demos, but I'm a terrible singer, you know. I try to sound the way I want to hear it, but I hear it very clearly in my head. You know, I hear it very, very clearly in my head the way I would like for it to sound. And it's almost like Guilherme knows what's in my head, you know, because I'll give him a phrase to sing and he will sound exactly the way it's in my head. Now, if I was to pinpoint like little things, you know, one big thing is I'm a huge fan of Andre Matos. For those listening who don't know who he is the first singer for a Brazilian band named Angra, power metal band from Brazil. They actually got a lot more successful after he was out of the band. So a lot of people don't even know about his work, but in Brazil we all do. You know, like he's a huge rock star down there.
Yep.
And he passed away in I think it was 2017, maybe 2018. I don't remember exactly. But when he did, that affected me a lot, you know, and I listened to that music a lot because it was part of my childhood. I grew up idolizing that band. And listening to Andre Matos' music made me want a singer that was inspired by him. Now, I didn't want anybody necessarily somebody that sounded like him, but somebody that I could tell that listened to him a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what Guilherme had. You know, like Guilherme was this perfect mix of like Andre Matos and Michael Kiske and Timo Kotipelto, which are like my favorite power metal singers. You know?
Yeah.
And he had these nuances. He had these things. Andre also used to bring a lot of Brazilian music into his music. You know, like Angra has a fantastic album named Holy Land. And Guilherme is obviously very familiar with that kind of Angra, that phase of Angra. So it was very, very easy to communicate. And, you know, his range is exactly where I like, you know. Because, you know, with power metal, singers can get really boring if they scream a lot. You know, it's just a lot of high screams and stuff. That shit's boring.
Yeah.
There needs to be dynamic, and I feel that Guilherme has a lot of that.
You mentioned before that you really wanted to move away from that kind of formulaic power metal that we hear. Did that also influence the themes that you wrote about on this album as well?
Oh, certainly. Most certainly. So on the first album, I had an issue. That was one of my issues with the first singer, because he didn't want to write like deep lyrics. He didn't want to do stuff that was researched and or historical. He was all about, you know, the he liked to fit words to melody a lot of the time. You know what I mean? So because I write the melody first, and so he would just put phrases that sounded cool and put them together and come up. You know, a lot of the times there wasn't even a song title. I had to come up with a song title. So I never liked that approach. That's one of the issues that we had. And with Guilherme, though, it was the opposite, because I could actually explore themes and do research and not talk about the same subjects that we were talking about on this first album. Because don't get me wrong, I wrote the song Shape Your Reality, which is all about, self-empowerment and go ahead and be you. And I am all about that kind of lyrics. But I wanted, for example, Wings of Salvation, track number 2, that's about the Brazilian inventor of the airplane.
Yep.
Or Midnight Bells is about the spiritual guide of our singer Guilherme. Or In the Name of God is sort of sarcastic towards organized religion. So all these are themes that I sort of wanted to explore in the first album, but I just couldn't. And if things do work out, I'm going to be doing a lot more of that from now on.
Would you say that writing on topics where you have to do research and things that are closer to your heart, does that leave you feeling more fulfilled with this album?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Wings of Salvation, I mentioned that song before, but that's a good example because in Brazil we're taught, everyone is taught in Brazil that Alberto Santos Dumont was the inventor of the airplane.
Yeah.
Now, that knowledge is not even ever discussed or nobody has another opinion. That is just the way it is for us there, And then I moved to America and I started hearing about the Wright brothers. And then I'm like, who the fuck are the Wright brothers? So and I'm talking to everybody and all my friends are like, well, that's who invented the airplane. What the fuck? And I started thinking that Brazil was really good at indoctrinating people, and be like, oh my God, how is it that there's a discrepancy on who invented the airplane and we don't even know about it in Brazil? So I started doing the research on that, not for the song, just because I was curious about it.
Yep.
And then, as it turns out, so the Wright brothers did do it first, but it was more of a catapult. They didn't really fly. They had this thing that resembled a flying thing, and it flew for a few minutes, and then it came down. Whereas Santos Dumont actually flew around the Eiffel Tower in Paris, and the whole press, the entire world saw that happen. It was all over the place. He was like kind of a badass. Like he was like a celebrity. He liked fine wine, and when airplanes started being used at the war, he found out about it and he killed himself because he didn't want his invention to be used to kill people. Wow. And when I by reading that story, I wanted to write the song because I'm like, holy shit, how do people not know this outside of Brazil? I really want people to know it. So it's not just the song; it's also telling a story, and that's important to me.
Definitely. It is such an amazing story, and I hope a lot of people learn from that track as well, because that's something that I didn't know. I was always taught at school that the Wright brothers were the first people to fly a plane, and now I want to go and do some research. So, yeah.
Well, that's the thing. The Wright brothers did do it and that's what's fucked up, man, because, if you think about nowadays with the internet, nothing happens without everybody knowing, right?
Yeah.
So, the Wright brothers flew in 1903. It's either 1903 or 1901. I can't remember right now. And Santos Dumont didn't do it until 3 years later. But people are still arguing who did it in Brazil.
Yeah.
3 years is a long time. To think about it. But everywhere in the world, people are taught that the Wright brothers did it first, and they did it first.
Yeah.
But in Brazil, the name, the Wright brothers, that's not even in school at all. We're not even taught about who they are in any way, shape, or form, which tells you a lot about how people can be indoctrinated from school.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? But when I did the research, it was more to be like, dude, that's too big of a discrepancy to not know what the real truth is. I'm pretty sure I can get to the bottom of this. And then I got a song out of it.
Definitely. Well, Bill, I know we are running out of time very, very quickly, and I could chat to you for ages, but I know you've got a schedule to keep to. But so to finish off, what would you like to say to all of your fans out there before they take a listen to this album? And also, what are your plans for this year now that everything's starting to open back up?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for the opportunity for having me here. You're helping me promote the album, and that's what I want. I want people to take a listen to it, and it is a long album. It's 64 minutes. or something like that. No, it's or something. I don't know. It's a pretty long album, so I know people don't like sitting through albums nowadays. So, take a chance with this one. I promise you, it's very, very good quality power metal produced by one of the best producers of the genre, Dennis Ward. We have Kai Hansen as a guest from Halloween. So if you're a fan of that genre, I guarantee you like it. Well, I can guarantee it, but I'm pretty sure you will. And I hope that we get to go play some shows, man. I hope we get to play some shows this year because with things opening back up and so many people wanting to get on the road, it's kind of a fight.
Definitely.
But I hope that we get to actually play this live so people know that we're not a studio project. We're an actual real live band.
Definitely.